Hi everyone, it's Alyssa McDonald here from CBU Success Coaching, and today's workshop I'm going to be talking to everyone a bit about time management and some different strategies you can take to improve your time management skills. So when we're talking about time management, what it looks like in detail may be different for everyone in terms of what works best for them. But these are some of the different strategies and tools that we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to look at how you can get organized, learning how to create a schedule, setting priorities, finding a balance, and being able to stay motivated. So for some students, they may be doing really well with the organization side of things, but not sure how to translate that into a schedule this semester. Or they may have a great schedule but having trouble figuring out how to balance it between school and the rest of their life. So these are some things that we will talk about today. In terms of time management, I do like to take a three-step approach with students. The first step being syllabus mapping. Now, what a syllabus map is it is basically just a one-pager way for you to break down your course and all the information that you might need for the semester. So a syllabus map is a great way to understand how your grades are going to be broken down. Is it a class where you have, several tests that are each worth a certain percentage? Or is it a course where your paper may be where a lot of your grades are coming from in that semester? Attendance policy, makeup policy. It's important to know these details, early on in the semester. Grade or assignment breakdown down here, where you can list all of the different tests and assignments, whatever it might be, and when they're due, and when you get them back, you can also keep track of your grades. A syllabus map is very helpful in understanding what the expectations are for each course and giving you that, full course overview. So I usually recommend that students complete one of these for each of their classes. And if your class has a separate lab component, it's probably going to be useful to complete one for your lab as well. So that would be step one, would be to take this and do a breakdown for each of your classes. Step two is something that most students are doing to a degree, is then taking all of the important dates and deadlines that you wrote down in your syllabus map and transferring those into monthly calendars for the entire semester. Now, you may be using an agenda or a planner. Maybe you have a big wall calendar already and you're doing this. So this might be just adding on to something you're already doing. I normally recommend that students print off calendars for the entire semester and put them somewhere that you're going to see on a daily basis. Maybe, the wall behind your workstation, maybe it's the front of your binder that you use to keep track of everything, but just you want to be able to see them on a regular basis. Calendars are an excellent way to give you an overview of your entire semester. They're going to help you to plan ahead, to understand your overlap. And what I mean by that is understanding how, for example, maybe your biology class is going to overlap with chemistry and English. So in the sample schedule I have here, you'll see that for this student, the week before Thanksgiving was very busy for them in terms of overlap, with several assignments and tests all scheduled in the same week. Because what can happen is you can think of your courses in silos, and you may be thinking so much about the biology test on the 5th that you forget that you also need to be working on your English postings that are due later in the week. Another thing that the schedule or the monthly calendars can really help with is allowing you to chunk your time. So instead of just being focused on that biology test the week of the 5th, that you have several things coming up. So what I normally recommend, especially when students are just getting started with their time management skills, is to think of their time in 3-week chunks or 3-week intervals. So you always want to be looking at the week that you are currently in and the 2 weeks coming up after that. It's a good section of time that allows you to plan ahead and be aware of what's coming up and what you need to be planning into your daily schedule. But it's not so far ahead that you are going to be, getting overwhelmed or trying to work on assignments out of order in terms of prioritizing what's coming up closest. Because what can happen is, if you were looking at, say, if you were in the first week of October, but you see that this math assignment down here on the 28th is due, and you know that this is something you're going to struggle with, you may be focusing too much on that and neglecting some of the other things that are coming up ahead of it. So just to kind of review, the first thing that we do is we break down each course with the syllabus map, and we take all of those key dates and add them into monthly calendars for the entire semester. Now the third step is where we break things down a bit further and going from that full semester overview to planning a weekly schedule. Now this is a sample of the type of schedule that I typically do with students when they come in for coaching. How you do your schedule is entirely up to you. Some people really like to use an app on their phone or their computer to keep track of their schedule, and for others like me, pen and paper is the most helpful in terms of being able to organize themselves and let things sink in. So whatever way works for you. The big thing with the weekly schedule is including these the hour by hour breakdown that's listed here. So when we're going to do a weekly schedule, this is what we recommend in terms of how you start to plan your week. So the first thing we'd want to do for the week is to enter in all your class and lab times, so that you know when you need to be in class, when things are scheduled. Next, if you are working and you know what your schedule looks like, be sure to add that in, and also to add in any time it takes for you to travel to and from. So for example, if your shift is say 10 to 5, but it takes you 40 minutes to get there, you may want to actually put your work time as 9 to 6. Next, if you know of any commitments you may have that week outside of school and work, say if it's volunteering, something with family or friends, you want to include that in your schedule. The whole idea behind doing a schedule like this is not, trying to make sure that you're doing schoolwork from 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. every day. The whole idea behind this is allowing you to be realistic and to get a sense of what your week looks like and to start thinking about your time. So one of the last things you should do then is, once you have everything kind of planned out in terms of class time, your job, any commitments you have, is to then take a look kind of day by day at what time you have remaining and how you're going to use that to work on any of the upcoming assignments or homework, studying, review that you might need to do. So an example would be something like this. So this was a schedule that I helped the student with last semester. You'll see that, we did color coded. I do highly recommend that you color code things because it allows you to get a better sense of what is scheduled for personal, what is scheduled for each class, what's your work schedule look like. It looks less overwhelming and it's easier to organize. So the real benefit to doing a schedule like this is it gets you to start thinking more about your time and how you use it. When we're busy, we all can fall into the habit of you're so focused on all the things you have to do that you feel like you have no time. A schedule like this is a big benefit because it allows you to visually see when you are busy and when you have free time. It's also beneficial because, and I'm not saying that to-do lists aren't a great way to organize yourself, but this takes it one step further. So instead of just thinking about, okay, I have an English assignment coming up and I know I have to complete these 4 readings, this allows you to think about how much time you need to dedicate to doing those readings or how much time you think it's going to take to do them. So you're not just, saying this is something you need to do. You're giving yourself an allotment of time to get it done. And doing this over time will allow you to help kind of create that structure and get a better sense of how long certain things will do. Because what tends to happen is you might make up a to-do list for the day, but on that to-do list you might have one item that's going to take you 4 hours. And so it's unrealistic to kind of set up your expectations to think you're going to get everything done on that to-do list when when you don't have the time to get them all done. So it just takes things one step further in allowing you to think more about your time, the tasks that you need to get done, how long you think they're going to take, or how long you're willing to give them on that day and during that chunk of time. So, you'll see here that on this schedule, they have their chemistry classes and labs scheduled. They have time planned in for chemistry to do review and to do readings. And this schedule was done, and they still had some chunks of time left over so that on each day they could figure out, what they still needed to work on and when they planned to do it. Now, how you set this up may be different, and that is definitely okay. Some people really like to get specific and kind of do this hour-by-hour breakdown, knowing that this is when they're doing English, then they're going to do their classes and have a break, and this is the time they're doing their math assignment, and kind of going through it in that way. For others, they find that a bit too intense, and especially in the beginning. And what they like to do is they like to have the breakdown here of when they're going to be in class, when they plan to take breaks, going to the gym. And instead of putting specifically in here what they're going to do for their classes, they just create these blocks of time to do schoolwork. And when they get into that block of time, they figure out what they're going to do then. So it really depends on, how far into detail you want to go with this and you're comfortable with. Another way you can kind of organize your schedule, and that is to kind of do the to-do, doing, and done method. This is another really good visual way to keep you organized. So you can use the one that I had set up at home when we were working remotely was with painter's tape on the wall and post-it notes. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You might be able to do something like on your computer, but I do recommend having it up somewhere that is a visual and allows you to see it on a regular basis. So what you do is each task that you have, you put on its own post-it note in the to-do column. Now, maybe you put up everything for the week, maybe you do the month, or maybe you do the entire semester. It's entirely up to you. Some people like to do them by color as well. So, everything that is school related maybe is in yellow, maybe all your personal ones are in green, however you want to do it. Then anything that you are currently working on goes into your doing column. Now, this is where I like people to set limits. So I typically try to stick with doing 1 to 2 bigger items in here and 1 to 2 smaller items. So that way you're not trying to work on too many things at once, because multitasking isn't always the best solution. And this is optional here. Anything that's blocked, so maybe you were working on the laundry, but you can't finish that until you get more detergent. Or maybe it's you were working on your math assignment, but you can't finish it until you have your Math and Science Center appointment later in the week. And then whenever you finish one of your tasks, you move them over here into the done column. The nice thing about this is, over time you're seeing all the things that you've been able to accomplish either in that week or that month or the entire semester. And it is a nice way to organize things so that you're staying on top, and you can add things to your to-do column as they come up. And it's a great visual way to show you how much you've accomplished, and it helps with your motivation and your organization in that as well. So, if you're finding that the weekly schedule is a bit too intense in terms of planning things out, maybe you want to try going with the to-do, doing, and done method, or maybe you want to do both. I've had students who have used both to kind of complement each other, and it's been a great way to help them stay motivated. So just to review again, I'm just going to go back a few slides here. We're going to, we start with our syllabus maps for each class and lab to get a breakdown of your courses. We then get the overview of the entire semester with the monthly calendars, and then we move into doing the weekly schedule. So just a few things to keep in mind as you start to work on your time management. None of this is an overnight fix. I don't expect anyone to leave this workshop and suddenly, they have themselves completely organized within the next day, and their time management skills are, just skyrocketing. The whole idea behind this is it being a realistic way for you to feel like you have more time and to use your time more effectively and efficiently. So it's something that, you do have to work on. And if you say if you follow your schedule for the next 2 to 3 days really well, and then something comes up, you sleep in, or you forget to follow your schedule things you had planned out in the morning, or your class gets canceled and moved, whatever it might be, it's okay. We all have days where things don't go according to plan, but the important thing is to remember to keep coming back and keep trying the schedule and the methods. Do what works best for you. So I know I've said this throughout this presentation. How you set things up may be different than how I set things up. It's what you feel most comfortable with and what you find works best for you. For me, I have to have a paper hard copy schedule. When I do one on the computer, it doesn't translate as well, and I'm not as likely to follow it. And I like things to be detailed. I want to have that hour by hour breakdown. But if that's not how you do it, that's okay. It's whatever works best for you. Also remember that in working on your time management, it does help improve your stress level, your organization, and your motivation. They are all connected. When you always feel like you're playing catch up, when you're handing things in late, when you forget to study for a test, when you're missing notes, you are stressed, you're not motivated, and you just feel like you're all over the place. So in working towards getting your time management, improved with some of these strategies, I hope that you find it does help bring your stress level down. You feel more motivated because you see how you're using your time efficiently and everything you're getting done, and it gives you more time to do things for yourself. As I said before, effective time management does require ongoing practice and work. I have students who come see me the beginning of every semester. to look at their schedule and to try to help figure things out. And they usually check in with me once or twice throughout the semester just to, stay accountable and to ensure that they're still doing things the way that they should be. So, it's something that we all work at, and as you go from year 1 to year 2 and 3 in your program, as you transition from university here at CBU to maybe postgraduate work or out into the workforce, time management is something that's going to go with you, but it's going to change and evolve with you as well. And lastly, don't be afraid to ask for help. If you want to know more about how these strategies work, if you're thinking that this may not be the best fit for you in terms of what I've presented today, but you still want to work on your time management, come and book an appointment with us in Success Coaching. We're always here to help. Or if, meeting or going through this workshop today has brought up some other questions that you'd like to get clarification on, please don't hesitate to come see us. You can book a one-on-one appointment with a success coach. Currently, we're offering them by email and virtually, and you can book them through the student services section of the website. So good luck this semester, and don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything.